Hello, and welcome back to my course. In this course, we will discuss about components and directives. First, we will understand the role of directives and components in Angular. Then, I will give an example on how to create components and directives, and we will use the Angular CLI to generate components and directives, and we will pass data between components using inputs and outputs. First of all, what is components? Components are a fundamental building block of Angular applications. It is defined by a TypeScript class decorated with the at component decorator, encapsulate the presentation and behavior in self-contained module. It has a selector that identifies the component in the HTML template. It can be used to build complex user interface by composing smaller, reusable building blocks. Can interact with other components and services using input and output bindings. It also has a template that defines the component's presentation. I will show you later what does a component look like and how it is made. Next is directives. Directives are the functionality of existing DOM elements or components. It is defined by a TypeScript class decorated with the at directive decorator. It can be used to add behavior to elements, such as adding event listeners or modifying the DOM. It does not have a template of their own, but can modify the template of the element they are applied to. It can be attribute, class, or element directives. It also can be used to create reusable user interface components or to modify existing ones. In summary, components and directive serve with different purposes in an Angular application. Components are used to encapsulate presentation and behavior into a reusable building blocks, while directives are used to modify the behavior of existing elements or components. Both components and directives are powerful tools in Angular that allows developers to create complex, maintainable user interface using a modular and reusable architecture. Here are some examples of components in Angular. First, a navigation bar. A navigation bar is a common component used across many applications to provide users with a way to navigate between different parts of the application. The navigation bar component might include links of different pages or sections of the application. Imagine you are going to use navigation bar and make it show up in different pages. A component serves its purpose that it's gonna be a reusable code wherein you only need that certain component and you just have to import it to a different component so that the navigation bar component will still show up to the new component that you made. Next is form controls. Form controls such as text inputs, checkboxes, and select boxes can be encapsulated into components, allowing developers to create reusable building blocks that can be used across different forms in the application. These components can include validation logic and other behavior that is specific to the control being encapsulated. It is very helpful for developers to create a component like a form control. It is less time consuming and it just needs a little bit of editing. Then it's gonna be a perfect fit again for your new component or your new HTML page. Modals and dialogues. Modal dialogues are a common user interface pattern used in many applications to display information or prompt the user for input. Modal dialog component might include the necessary HTML markup and styles to display the dialog, as well as many behaviors necessary to handle user input and interaction. Imagine creating modal dialogs over and over again, with the same image, with the same functionalities, and with the same CSS styles. That's gonna be so tiring and it's gonna be so time consuming. We're in Angular using components. Modal dialogues can exist only once in your project, then you can use it over and over again. Grids and tables. Grids and tables are often used to display large amounts of data in tabular format. These components can include features such as sorting, filtering, and pagination, as well as any necessary styles and behavior. Imagine creating a lot of grids and tables, wherein you only need one template or one component for a grid and for a table, which is way easier if you use a component. It is very perfect for Angular to use a component to save time in developing your Angular application. Widgets. Widgets are small self-contained UI components that can be used to display information or functionality in a compact and easily accessible way. Examples might include a weather widget, where it might be always there in your web page, a news ticker, where it's also going to be there in your web page, or a stock ticker, wherein you need to put it anywhere in your web page so that you can always click the stock ticker because you need to look at it from time to time. These are just a few examples of the many different types of components that can be created in Angular. The key to creating effective components is to identify the building blocks of the application that are likely to be reused across multiple views or features, and to encapsulate them into self-contained, reusable components. Later, after this presentation, after explaining components and directives, I will show you how component is made and how to reuse a component. Directives. In Angular, there are three types of directives. One is the component directive. Component directives are the most common type of directive in Angular. They are used to define a usable user interface component that can be used across different parts of an application. Component directives are defined using the at component decorator in TypeScript and can include a template, styles, and any necessary behavior. Structural directives. Structural directives are used to add, remove, or manipulate elements in the HTML template based on conditions or data. They are preceded by an asterisk in the HTML template to distinguish them from attribute directives. The most commonly used structural directives in Angular are ngIf and ngFor. ngIf and ngForm are basically the most commonly used directives in Angular. ngIf serves like the if-else statement. It works like the if-else statement, and ngFor basically works like a for loop that you can um, populate data depending on your HTML syntax. Attribute directives. Attribute directives are used to add behavior or modify the appearance of an existing HTML element or component. They are defined using the at directive decorator in TypeScript and can be applied to HTML elements using an attribute. Examples of attribute directives in Angular includes ngClass and ngStyle. These are a lot to learn, but don't worry. We will take time in doing this, and later in this course I will show you how it is made and how it is manipulated throughout the entire project. Overall, each type of directive serves a distinct purpose in Angular and can be used to create powerful and reusable components and user interface elements. By understanding the differences between these types of directives, developers can create more maintainable and scalable Angular applications. Thank you for listening, and later in this course, I will show you how to do and to make components and directives in my Visual Studio Code. Thank you.